You will receive a PDF of the slides and the recording of this webinar within a couple days of this broadcast. And with that, turn it over to Mike Leathem, a senior applications engineer in our product management team who has tons of Kepware experience.
Thanks, Joanne. Again, my name is Mike Leathem. I'm a senior apps engineer on the product management team, helping out on device connectivity as we chart a course for the KEPServer product. We've also got Omid Givehchi from Schneider Motion. You there, Omid? I think you might be muted, Omid. Hang on just a second. All right, you there, Omid?
Yeah, I'm here.
Ah, very good. The beauty of webinars from all across the world. So thank you from all of us, for joining us from all over the world. I know it may be a little later in the evening, depending on how far across the pond you are. And it may be really late if you're in the Far East, so thank you. So I believe we have a poll question to start things out here. Okay, my bad. I thought we did have a poll question to start things out. I was lying. All right, so for those of you unfamiliar with Kepware, I'll give a brief introduction. Kepware has been focused on developing industrial connectivity software for the past 20 plus years. Kepware was actually acquired by PTC, a global provider of technology platform solutions, in 2016. PTC is the company behind ThingWorx, an industrial innovation platform. KEPServer has tight integration with ThingWorx. You can see more about this integration in the 6.2 release webinar. Kepware serves a wide range of customers in a variety of vertical markets, including manufacturing, oil and gas, building automation, power distribution, and IT and infrastructure. And it is distributed in more than 100 countries through our partner network. KEPServerEX is Kepware's flagship product and the industry's leading provider of asset connectivity in the market, providing access to a wide variety of devices with over 150 drivers. It provides access to client applications like ERP, MES, HMI, SCADA, as well as new breeds of IoT visualization tools. For example, I might have a factory with devices from half a dozen or more different vendors. I can connect all of them using KEPServerEX, then provide their data to a variety of different clients, all from a single source. We've recently added to our list of connectivity solutions by developing a CODESYS driver. After a poll question, let's take a look at what CODESYS is.
Okay, so now we got the poll question, and we're going to ask, just to get a heartbeat here, if any of you have experience with Kepware. And KEPServerEX specifically. So rate yourself from 1 to 5, 1 being no experience, 5 being you consider yourself an expert. And I'll go ahead and leave this open for a few seconds and wait for to give you all a chance to vote. Okay, great. So it looks like the majority of you have voted. I'll go ahead and share that. So you can see here that right a nice little bell curve. About 40% of you on the call say you do have some experience, so that's great to hear. That's what we would expect. So hopefully the rest of this information, as we get into more details on the CODESYS driver, will be helpful for you.
Great, thanks, Joanne. All right. Let's first talk a little bit about what CODESYS is. CODESYS is a development system that vendors like Schneider utilize on their devices. The CODESYS protocol stack is utilized on over 150 different devices. A full listing of supported devices can be found on the CODESYS website. This new driver for CODESYS is just one example of how Kepware is constantly expanding its driver portfolio. The CODESYS Ethernet driver is built on an API provided by CODESYS. This driver supports both version 2.3 and version 3 of the CODESYS stack. You can find what version of the protocol the device supports on the CODESYS website or contact your hardware vendor. The driver also supports automatic tag generation from either the device or a project file. The driver also implements advanced diagnostics based on the CODESYS API. Now it's my pleasure to pass it over to Omid from Schneider to give you an overview of Schneider and the PacDrive.
Hello, can you hear me?
Absolutely.
Okay. My name is Omid Givehchi, and I'm part of the Schneider Electric Machine Solutions, who is specialized for Schneider offers for motion controllers and solutions for the machines. So Schneider is the global specialist in energy management and automation worldwide, and is one of the world's leading automation solution providers for packaging machines. Our product, PacDrive, is an automation solution for packaging, handling, and assembly machines, and is one integrated and scalable automation platform, which is a scalable controller performance from 0 to 130 servo drives and robot axis. It has also single controller solution for motion, PLC logic, communication, and in addition for other applications, including the robotics. The benefit is that we are offering one programming tool based on CODESYS for programming machine based on standard IEC 61131, and the PacDrive family offers a very scalable and performant motion controller with all PLC functionalities and robotic control as well. So today we are operating a very wide range of different packaging machines and different machines with PacDrive, including 80,000 machines worldwide. And we are working together with PTC and Kepware to integrate our controllers as much as possible into the IT platforms and digital platforms worldwide. That's why we had a good cooperation together with Kepware to integrate our controller in the Kepware and PTC portfolio as well. Thank you.
Thanks, Omid. I believe we have another poll question here that Joanne's going to help us kick off.
Great, thanks, Omid. And so following that information on the PacDrive, we just wanted to ask, do you currently use or sell machines that with the PacDrive devices? So use or sell these PacDrive types of machines. So go ahead, answer. Pretty easy here, yes, no, or unsure. And just trying to get a heartbeat on this call if any of you are actually using these type of devices. So again, I'll leave this open for a couple seconds to give everybody a chance to answer. Okay, great. And I'll share that. So it looks like 73% of you say no, but some of you do, which is great because you're in the right place. And for those of you who don't, hopefully you'll find something useful here as we go along, as we see the demo here and see what PacDrive's all about. Okay, great. Pass back over to Nick.
All right, so let's stop talking about CODESYS and let's do something with it. So for those of you unfamiliar with the Kepware KEPServerEX user interface, this is it. You can see over here on the left, we have a connectivity tree with a list of all our devices and channels. Right now, it's completely empty. In the lab adjacent here, we have a PacDrive LMC Pro 2. I think I got all those names right, that we're going to work on connecting to. So the first thing we're going to do is add a channel. So we'll look at our list of channels, and we will scroll down to CODESYS. This defines the language being spoken and opens the communication pipe between the server and the device. We're going to call this CODESYS. We've got a few defaults we're going to accept. All right, now we have an existing channel. Let's go ahead and add a device to the channel. We will call this device our PacDrive 3. We happen to know that this particular device is version 3 of the protocol. So we're going to select version 3 as opposed to version 2.3. We'll touch on this a little bit more in a few minutes. We've got a few defaults that we're going to accept here. All right. Now we're going to add the IP address on our local network. And we're going to accept the default port of 11740. Let's talk briefly about the gateway. We don't currently have a gateway set up. However, the CODESYS protocol allows for this. A gateway would be an additional piece of software that is running the API sitting between the device and KEPServer. There's some network topologies that may require this. You can work with your hardware vendor or work with Kepware's tech support to help figure this out as needed. But we don't need it today, so we'll move on. A few more defaults. Let's briefly talk about the symbol file. We'll touch on this a little bit more, but this is where we would decide if we were getting the symbol file from the device or from an alternative file. And this particular device does not have any credentials set up on it. You could certainly set those up as needed by your security policy. All right, let's take a minute and look through these. Particularly, I want to focus on the communication parameters. So you see where we set our IP address and port. You'll see the rest of these communication parameters are currently grayed out. If I had selected version 2.3 as opposed to version 3, I would have to actually set all of these parameters. That's one of the big differences between version 2.3 and version 3. We don't need to do it today. However, if you did need to set those, you could either work with your hardware vendor to determine the appropriate settings, or Kepware is in the process of posting a document to our website that adds the details of all of the devices that we have experience for these settings. All right, great. So we've added a device and a channel. Now let's go see if we can get some tags from this device. I'm going to go to tag generation and click on our create tags button. I see over here in our event log that it's attempting to do it. And I see it generated 87,000 tags. We had a pretty significant project on this program, on this device. And then under the device, you can see that I've got a tag hierarchy in the tree over here. I've got a variety of tags and tag groups. You can see a variety of different ones. And then built into KEPServer, for those of you unfamiliar with it, is a local client that allows us to test connectivity. There's nothing fancy about it. It's not a full-blown HMI or SCADA, but it allows us to open some values and take a look at them. So I'm going to click on this quick client. It's going to take several seconds to build simply because this is such a large project. It's building our, you can see down in the corner here, it's built up to 87,000 here. And now it's just building the display for that. All right, let's click on the part of the tree with where all the action is. So this particular program doesn't have any rapidly changing tags, but what we can do is let's select one. And I'm going to head and do a write down to the device. So the current value is 177. Let's give it a new value. Let's say 38. And once we click OK here, it's going to send that write. Oh, you gotta love live demos. Maybe I did a read instead of a write here. Let's. Oh, OK. It just took a second update there. All right. So we do, in fact, have a new value of 38 once we went back down to the device and did an additional read. So that is it for our demo. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of our quick client. And we'll go back over to our presentation here. Let's see, and I believe Joanne has another poll question for us. She just loves to collect information.
I like poll questions. All right, so the last one here, just trying to get a heartbeat on your interest in using the CODESYS driver and the Schneider PacDrive in your environments. So go ahead and give us some answers there. And I'll again leave this open for a few seconds to see what we have here. And want to thank you for contributing to our poll questions. They help us target our webinar content better to our audience, so that's great. All right, looks like most of you voted there, so looks like we got interest across the board, which is great for both the CODESYS driver and the Schneider PacDrive, and both. So the majority of people here, if we add up the 17%, 17%, 34% plus the 11%, we're getting almost to 50% of people said they'd be interested in using CODESYS or Schneider PacDrive in production. So that's great. So I'm going to go ahead and hide that, and we'll wrap up.
So I'd like to thank everyone for joining us today. We've got plenty of time for questions if anyone has any questions. We have myself, Joanne, Omid, as well as our Director of Product Management here at Kepware. So feel free to enter any questions you have into the questions pane. We'll stay online here for just a couple of minutes if you've got anything.
I have a question.
What's your question, Joanne?
Are there any improvements or things you're considering in the future for the CODESYS driver?
Well, yes.
Glad you asked. So this is Jeff Bates. I lead product management with Kepware, and current December release, some improvements to the CODESYS Ethernet driver. We will enable. So you saw today, Mike automatically generate those tags that generated all of the 87,000 tags on the PacDrive program. That may be overkill for some of you. There may be they may all be useful, but in other cases there may be only a handful or even just 10,000 that are that you need to monitor for your client applications. If that's the case, we are adding the ability to filter those tags and go in and select only the tags that you need, so that only the tags that you need are created in your KEPServerEX project. This will be possible not only in the UI that Mike just showed, so on the server where you're running KEPServer, but also via the configuration API, which is new in version 6 of the product, released about a year ago. So for more information on the configuration API, I'd point you to the video section of our website where you can find the version 6 release webinar.
Great, thanks, Jeff. And we have a question from Alexander wanting to know where he can get this driver, download the driver.
Yeah, great question, Alexander. So on our website, you can download the full product free of charge. It's going to ask you for your email, and then you'll get a link to the download. And once you have that download, it's fully functional. It simply has a 2-hour demo timer that can be reset. So you wouldn't necessarily want to set up your factory on a 2-hour demo timer, but you can play with it pretty much infinitely. In fact, here during this morning's demo, I'm running on a demo timer. I have a note here for myself to remind me to reset my demo timer. Very good. Now let's see. Looks like we have one more question. Is this a newer version of KEPServer than shipped with Wonderware version 16?
So I can try to take a stab at that one. we no longer have an OEM agreement with Wonderware. So any version of KEPServerEX that is being shipped with Wonderware most likely is an older version. If you want, Gary, if you need more information on that, contact us, sales@kepware.com, and we can get you in touch with the right person to help you figure out what version you are. But unless you're purchasing from us directly or from another one of our software vendors, TopServer, who commonly sells into the Wonderware market, most likely you're using an older version of our server. So we'll follow up with you after the webinar. We have your contact info. Okay, great.
So I did mention the website. Here is a bunch of contact information for you. The website, kepware.com, as well as contacting sales, training, tech support, or if you want to check out our blog, all of it can be found here. And I did just want to clarify on versions, following up on the Wonderware question. The CODESYS driver was released in version 6.1, but there were significant upgrades in version 6.2. For those of you that don't live it every day like we do, our current version is version 6.3, and the release that Jeff alluded to coming up at the end of the year will be 6.4. So in order to get full CODESYS functionality, you do want to be using a relatively new version. 6.2 was released in the spring, so it's something released in the last 6 months here. It doesn't look like we have any additional questions, so I think we're going to sign off here. If anyone wants to squeak in under the wire.
All right, thank you all for joining. Like I said, we will be sending out a recording of this webinar and a PDF of the slides. Thank you to Mike and Jeff for helping out, and Omid across the pond. Wonderful to have you join us, and I hope everybody has a great afternoon, morning, afternoon, evening, night.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you.